Imagine that somebody comes to you for advice. They tell you about this guy. His name is Duke, and Duke is known for being promiscuous. He has cheated on every single person he's ever dated, been engaged to, been married to, and the person asking you for advice says, should I date Duke? Now, I don't want to get cheated on. Isn't it true that you know the answer to whether or not your friend should date Duke before asking any other questions? I mean, you don't have to know how do you define cheating? What exactly do you mean by cheating? Well, who did he cheat on? How different are you from the people that he has cheated on? And do you think he's changed? Has he said you don't have to ask any questions. You don't have to look out into the world and do any kind of investigations. You don't have to interview Duke or your friend any further. You could just say, you want to date a cheater without getting cheated on? Not gonna happen. What you're doing is offering advice after reasoning through something without any experience. A priori is Latin for before experience. You don't ever need to see 2 things or 3 things or 5 things to know that 2 plus 3 equals 5. Sometimes that helps understand why 2 plus 3 is 5. You can have 2 things on a table and then somebody add 3 more things. And to know how many things are on the table, you might count them and learn about the units building upon one another. But we can reason about 2 plus 3 equaling 5 just from the definitions of how to understand that little symbol that looks like a cross or a plus sign and the definition of the equal sign. You don't ever need to experience the numbers. In fact, I don't know how you could experience numbers. A posteriori reasoning requires experience. A posteriori arguments, a posteriori justifications, and a posteriori belief all somehow depend on your observations, seeing something, thinking about something after you've experienced it in some way. Let's have an example. Imagine you have to figure out how to finish this proposition. If Duke is a cheater, then Duke is a cheater. You can find out that that is true without doing any kind of investigations, without any observations or experiences, by reason alone, by thinking it through. You can deduce that Duke is a cheater from Duke being a cheater. To know that Duke is a cheater, we do have to look out into the world. So the argument that you shouldn't date Duke if you don't want to date a cheater because Duke is a cheater is not purely a priori. You do need to look out into the world to establish that this person, Duke, qualifies as that predicate cheater. However, the idea that if Duke is a cheater, then Duke is a cheater, we don't need experience for that. And we can deduce this from pure reasoning. Just like this other example, that if Duke worked for 4 days, then Duke worked for 3 days. We know that that's true because to work 4 days requires that you work for 3 days. To work 3 days requires that you work 2 days. To work 2 days requires that you work 1 day. So we know that if Duke worked for 4 days, then Duke worked for 3 days without any experience, without any observation or interview or looking out into the world to find out what else is true. We can, just by reasoning, thinking this through with our eyes closed to the world, without any input or sensing, we know that this is true. Consider this last example, that if you are a bachelor, then you are an unmarried male. The definition of bachelor is unmarried male. So every unmarried male qualifies as bachelor. We know that this is true. We can justify it. We can think about it all without any kind of experience. And that's all that it means to call your reasoning or your justification or the knowledge that you have a priori.